there, how y'all doing tonight? Good? So I used to be a substitute teacher, right? And now it's hard to believe because of how young I look. So like, I never got any respect from the kids in high school. They'd be like, Mister, because kids don't learn your name and shit, even though it's on the board. Mister, do you even know trigonometry? And I'm like, if I knew trigonometry, I'd be your trig teacher. Or I do whatever you do when you know trigonometry. Like, what do you do with that? What even is it? I never made it that far in math. Subbing, nothing about subbing. Subbing is like super boring. Like, it's worse for the adults there than the kids learning stuff. Like, it's so boring. I fell asleep as the sub. Like, just me. I fell asleep, the kids were awake. And like, they could have did anything. They could have like, smoked some weed in class. They could have fucking made out with each other. They could have fucking left. I didn't know how many kids were in that class, you know what I mean? I was a very bad substitute teacher. I remember one time actually when I was, I was in first period in high school, right? And like, my teacher didn't show up. He didn't call no sub and nothing, just didn't show up. So we had like a wild ass time. It was awesome. It was like high school recess. It was so sick. And then the next period, like when we left that period, we all just left, didn't tell anyone. Next period, a girl gets up there, she couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle no teacher in her classroom. She went and got a teacher. So she narked on everyone. So the next day, we went around, grabbed her, and we all farted on her. Everyone knows what happens to stitches, they get stitches. I mean, snitches get stitches, but narcs, they get farts. You can probably tell by how I'm dressed that I like comic books. Like, I like them more than you do. That's a fact. I like them so much, like they're the only books I've read in the last like 10 years. I've been comic books like every week. Like, I know what Spider-Man did this week, you know what I mean? But I think reading all those made me atheist because like the miracles and like superpower stuff in the Bible are like so dated now. Like, Moses like talked to a burning bush. Like, the Human Torch is literally a burning man. Like, it's a burning man. Like, Jesus died, you know, came back in 3 days. Like, those are rookie numbers. Wolverine can't die. Like, Deadpool's always alive. And like Muhammad, I don't know what Muhammad did, but I'm pretty sure he can't beat Batman in a fight, right? Like, who you got your money on? Batman, exactly. Like Superman, Iron Man, Spider-Man versus the three amigos of the Holy Spirit. I'm going with those comic book guys. I remember when I was a kid, the first couple times I got like sexually aroused. Like, I didn't know what was going on because I was like 6 or 7 or some shit. I didn't know what was happening. But the reason I got sexually aroused was because of Lola Bunny and Jessica Rabbit. Like, I remember this vividly. So as a kid, I thought sex had something to do with rabbits, right? Which isn't wrong, because rabbits be fucking, you know? Like, there's a phrase about it and everything. I remember one time I was in college, during the summer I worked at a YMCA camp as a camp counselor, and I got fired halfway through. But what happened was, one night I had a cabin full of Tim boys, which if you just record that line and say it to people, that sounds really fucked up. But in context, it makes sense. Like, they were in my cabin, and like 2 of the boys were friends or whatever, and so they wanted to sleep in the same bunk of the bunk bed, which I was like, whatever, the 10, I don't care. But then the next night, they dropped one of their covers over the top and like just draped it down over the bottom bunk, so I couldn't see what was going on in there at night. Didn't worry about it. I was like, whatever. But then the next night, all the other kids in my cabin did that as well. And that's when I started getting nervous. So like, so I left and I went and got high about it. I went and got high and thought about it is what I did. And then I came to the conclusion, like, I don't really care what these kids do. Like, all 10-year-old boys are kind of gay. So like, whatever. But that's not why I got fired. The next night, one of the kids that started this phenomenon, his name was Kyle. He woke me up, you know, like I asked them before they went to bed, I was like, anyone need to go to the bathroom? He was like, no. They all like, no. 10 minutes till the lights off, he has to go to the bathroom. So I like kick down the door, I'm like, kick down the door. And then I'm like, yo, go pee on the tree. You're gonna be a man one day, the world is your bathroom. Just pee right there. I need to go smoke some weed, you were supposed to be asleep. So he walks outside, and as soon as he gets outside, he turns, he's like, oh, I don't need to pee. And then just shit just comes out of his underwear. And like, this kid was covered in so much shit, like he was brown from the waist down. Like he was so brown, a cop probably would have assaulted him. And then after he does this, he doubles down on his mistake. Like he's like, oh, I'm covered in shit. Might as well finish the job. And just started doing this and then like looked at me like in the eyes. And I was like, this is a ballsy ass kid. So I sent him to the showers by himself because he smelled like shit. So he had to walk down there by himself. But that's also how I got fired. That's not my fault, that's his fault. I got fired because they found out about all the weed I was smoking on campus. Then after I got fired, I was at my friend's apartment for like a week wondering what to tell my parents. Because I can't just show up midsummer like, oh, the camp closed or whatever, and come up with some lie. But then I get a call from God, and it was my friend Martin. He was at the camp, and he was like, oh, Jamal, everything's chaotic here, it's terrible. And I'm like, oh, what happened? What happened? And he's like, the camp, man, all the kids are safe. And I was like, I don't care about the kids, I don't work there anymore. And he's like, it's all right, but the camp, it's burning down. And I was like, thank God. Even though I don't believe in him, thank God. Because then he gave me the perfect excuse to tell my parents, the perfect lie. I didn't get fired from camp, the camp burned down. All right, that's my time, everyone. Thanks for coming out.